Ladies and gentlemen, Psalm 78, verse 27 and onward says, He rained flesh upon them as dust, and feathered fowls like the sand of the sea. And he let it fall in the midst of their camp, round about their habitations. And so did they eat, and they were well filled. And he gave them their own desire. They were not strangers from their lust. While their flesh was yet in their mouths, the wrath of God came upon them, and slew the fattest of them, and smote down the chosen men of Israel. But for this they still sinned, and did not believe his wondrous works. Therefore their days did he consume in vanity, and their years in trouble. See, some of you guys out here, you still persist. The land is fat with superheroes. We got comic book movies coming out of the shizite. You know what I'm saying? We got like 4 or 5 or 6 comic book movies every year. We're in the golden age of heroes. We're in the golden age of comic books. Yet you persist in being negative. You persist in being negative. There's a saying, if you have nothing good to say, don't say it at all. And so some of you guys in the comment section after that last video, your butt hurt like crazy. You're exposed like crazy, and yet you're still running your mouth. Keep running your mouth. I'll just keep collecting data on you. Not only on you, but also I'll keep on having to respond about the MCU if you keep it up. And probably you will end, it'll be all on you. You will end the golden age of comic book movies if you keep it going like that. Don't run your mouth. Not around me. I got archives of stuff on the MCU. Archives, man. I just had to pull from the vault. I don't want to do this. But you give me no choice. Keep running your mouth. See what happens. My interest is the DCEU. And right now we're going to talk about Cyborg. Cyborg, I love the design of Cyborg. The design of Cyborg tells a story in and of itself. And that's why I explained to some of you, we're talking about character design and costume design, that costume design and character design can tell you a lot about a character. And so just through the costume design of Cyborg and also how he functions, we learn a lot about him. We learn that the technology that has formed him as alien. And you can see it. You can feel it. Just looking at Cyborg right now, you can see that alien technology that makes him up. These weird looking joints on the side of him. Let's have a good look at him here. Look how alien he looks here. And they made a point of designing him so that he looked alien. And they patterned him after bismuth, which is a kind of metal. When we look at it under the microscopic level, it's got these edges, these weird edges to it that makes you feel like this thing is not of this world. And even the way how the crystalline structures on him are designed feels very otherworldly, kind of scale-like. The sharp edges coming out of him kind of reminds us of the Kryptonian technology, as well as the apocalyptic look of the surroundings. When you end up in a nest, you see not only the parademons have this weird sort of look as well, but also the surroundings have these kind of sharp edges and kind of crystalline formation, right? So Cyborg looks alien. Now this is important because in the beginning of the movie, Cyborg doesn't know what he is. In fact, Cyborg is depressed and suicidal. Just imagine yourself. You look in the mirror and you don't recognize what you see. You look at your hands. Your hands are a machine. And then you realize you're trapped. If you're claustrophobic, man, you really want to kill yourself. You're trapped in this machine. And then again, you don't know if you can kill yourself. You don't even know if you're alive. You don't know if you're dead. That's depressing. Then you're hearing voices in your head. Cyborg hears voices in his head. And he says they're not even human, they're alien. Oh my God. Have you seen the movie Alien with the little aliens living inside the body of a human? It's a horrific thought that an alien entity is living in you. That's scary as hell. And in addition to that, Cyborg can hear other voices because he's attached to the internet 24/7. So he can hear other voices, other things. There are all kinds of stuff going on. You would go mad. You'd go crazy. That's a horrific experience. And this is a guy who took pride in his body. He was an athlete. It's gone. It's a nightmare. It reminds me, in a way, of how Superman, when he was a little kid, when he was going through puberty, he started hearing all these voices and he could see inside the things and stuff. It's very disorienting, very confusing, very scary. And for Cyborg, that must have been scary as hell and weird. And then he doesn't know if that will lead to him being destructive and the end of the world and the destruction of humanity. He doesn't even know if he has any humanity in him. This is the Cyborg we meet with his hands, his head in his hands. Just suffered a tragedy. His mother was dead. He wakes up. Or at least he thinks he wakes up. And what is he? And he looks alien. A freak. A Frankenstein. A monster. God, can a monster do something good? And I love that Wonder Woman reaches this guy. So genuine. Her love touches this guy. And touches his humanity. And makes Cyborg want to be human. Want to help humanity. She calls what he has gifts. It reminds me of Beauty and the Beast, where the beauty, she starts speaking to the beast like he's a person, not this animal. It reminds me of when Colonel Rick Flag starts talking to Killer Croc as if he's a human being. As a person. It reminds me, if I were to cross over to Marvel, when Black Widow speaks to Captain America. As if he's a person. Steve. And there's things women can do that men just don't really know how to do very well. And a woman can look at you and she can send a message to you for concern. Or she can, I don't know if it's a motherly thing or whatever. But they can convey emotion just through looking at you. Whether you see concern, you see reprimanding, they're going to be stern with you. Or whether it is that they are happy for you or whatever it is. But I love how Gal is able to bare her soul to him. She becomes vulnerable in his presence so that he would be touched. And he is touched and he runs away. And because of Wonder Woman's impact on Cyborg, he's committed. Of course, his father also being kidnapped helped to turn the tables, but he's committed to using what he has, whatever it is that he is, in a positive way. And she teaches him, she grooms him, even when he's not in control of himself. In this nightmare scene, there's somebody guiding him and helping him, just like Superman was the beacon of hope to the world. And it's ironic, and that's what I like about Zack Snyder's films, it's ironic that she's not human. But yet she helps the human, just like Superman does, and guides him into the best part of his humanity. And Cyborg goes on to use his humanity to better the situation. And he still uses his technology as well, under his humanity, for the best and the betterment of humanity itself. It's interesting that a Kryptonian and an Amazon would show us the best of ourselves. And I find this interesting because there is a scripture that says, do not turn away the alien or stranger within your gates. And the reason you don't do it is because some have turned away angels, messengers, unawares. I find that depth very invigorating and beautiful. I want to give a big shout out to William Ruffin right now. Nerdarati Magazine. Shout out to you, my bro. I also want to shout out to R2 Lemonin. Shout out to you. Of course, Dave Ethan as well, who's always on my channel up and down. William Mir or William Miranda. Shout out to you, bro. Because you guys appreciate the beauty of these things in our daily lives. Especially William Ruffin, who I've spoken to a number of times. Beautiful stuff that can help our communities. Accept the stranger within you. Just because somebody may talk a different language or come from a different cultural background, sometimes they can appreciate things that you take for granted about what you have. A lot of you take for granted a lot of things. Just imagine somebody coming from a different time and seeing our times, seeing what comic book movies are able to do. They would appreciate it more than us who've been in the comic book movie golden era for so long that we've started to take certain things for granted. And they'd be able to show us the beauty of these comic book movies that we overlook and we're dismissive about. I say this to bring all of comic book kingdom together. It's not about dividing and attacking and saying I'm better than you. It's about working together. The people in the industry know that. That's the actors, the directors. We got people working on Spider-Man Homecoming who are going to be working on The Flash. We had Joss Whedon, who was the guy that started off the whole thing for the MCU, the Avengers, working on Justice League. We had Patty Jenkins, who was supposed to work on Thor: The Dark World 2, or Thor 2, working on Wonder Woman. We have actors that act in the MCU, acting in WB Films, Kong Skull Island. The guy who played Loki, acting in that. So why is it they can do that, but we can't do that as fans? Why can't we grow up and appreciate things in both universes? Why do I have to pull out my belt and show flaws in the MCU? Because it's not flawless. So that some of you would be reprimanded and turn around and say, you know what, I've been kind of reckless in how I talked about the DCEU. Why do I have to do that? Let's go on with Cyborg. So, by the way, Dave Ethan, William Ruffin, right? These guys, and R10 Lemonin, these guys give both MCU and DCEU a fair shake. All right? Almost all three of them will say to me that the DCEU to them has a little bit more oomph. But Dave Ethan goes and watches MCU movies and enjoys himself. And so does William Ruffin, and he's looking forward to Infinity War. Okay? And I'm just saying, why can't we be like that? Why does it have to be that the DCEU must be bashed by everybody, those people in the media, in the industry? Why are you bashing it? Why are you bashing the DCEU? Why you got to find a rumor or something negative? You're always trying to say something negative before the movie comes out. Why? To sink it so that Disney can have the share in the market, and then what happens after that? We get the same formulaic stuff over and over again? How are they going to push the boundaries? Because of the DCEU, the MCU is pushing their boundaries and stepping up their game and trying to get variety going. And I ain't mad at that. Black Panther I'm so glad Black Panther came out. But you got to, people. You got to, man. You got to be careful what you say. Be careful what you say. There's always somebody who got your number. And you would not like if I bash the MCU and take away some of that shine and that excitement you have for Infinity War or for Captain Marvel. You wouldn't like that. So why are you doing that? Why are you doing that to the people who are excited for Shazam and excited for Aquaman? Why are you doing that to them? Oh, well, Justice League was terrible. Man, you shouldn't watch those movies. Why are you doing that? So, like I said, I can dish it out as good as I can receive. Let's go back to Cyborg. So, Wonder Woman's helping him his humanity. But before that, Cyborg was very much alien. He felt like an alien in all kinds of ways. He felt alien to himself because he was an athlete. He felt alien to humanity. He didn't know if he was an asset or a liability to humanity. And he also felt alien because he was hearing alien voices in his head, and he had alien technology. This wasn't earthly technology, and you could see it. It wasn't earthly technology. In fact, he had a close connection to the mother boxes in many ways. They shared the similar energy, and you could see it in his core, as well as he did certain things that the mother boxes did, right? So here we have Cyborg on the left, and he's doing a demonstration showing the separation of the mother boxes. And then we see Steppenwolf with the mother boxes. But the thing that may elude you guys is look at the connections between the mother boxes. Look at those connections there. I'm going to show you the mother boxes here again. Look at the connections here. Right? And when you look at those connections there, look, Cyborg's doing the very same thing with his hands. Showing that the technology that is used for the mother boxes, you can actually visually see the technology there with Cyborg. And then the sound that Cyborg makes as he moves around is the same sound the mother boxes make. That sound. You hear it. He shares the same energy of the mother boxes. Which is why he could contact them, and which is why he could separate them, and which is why he could interface with them and manipulate them to separate them. And by his interaction with the mother boxes, Cyborg becomes even much more powerful than he was before. And that's why Steppenwolf said, "You don't deserve to touch Mother. She's power. And power is the only law." He talks about the righteousness of power. Remind you of somebody in the real world who's behaving like an autocrat right now? A couple of them, huh? A couple strong men that Aquaman was speaking about. But let's just go back to what we were saying. So, what we see is Cyborg, you know, the movie portrays them as gifts, but Cyborg saw them as a curse. It was Wonder Woman that got him to see he had gifts. He had something to offer humanity. That this freak, this Frankenstein, had something to offer. And because of that, Cyborg moves from this alien-looking character that you see here. He looks very alien. And he embraces his humanity. This is before he was reborn. Because in this movie, we actually had a rebirth of Cyborg. We had a rebirth of Cyborg. Isn't that crazy? Cyborg was reborn. It wasn't that obvious. But he was reborn. When he said booyah at the end, he opened the boom tube, sent back Steppenwolf where he came, and he said booyah. He was reborn. Because in giving his purpose and being useful in allowing the League to overcome Steppenwolf, Cyborg fully embraced the humanity of himself. And here, at the end of the movie, we are seeing the rebirth of Cyborg, where he's transforming more into a humanoid form and keeping his alien nature underneath the surface. A rebirth Cyborg. But here's the kicker. Cyborg is doing exactly what Diana and Superman is. They reflect the best of ourselves, or humanity, and under the surface, their genetic core, their heritage, is not from this world. They're from other worlds. Diana from Themyscira, in another dimension, and Superman from Krypton. And now, join Cyborg to that list as he covers his heritage, what he has inherited, alien technology. It's covered over with his humanity. That's what you're seeing. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what Cyborg is. And that's the beauty of Justice League. Visually, Zack Snyder is brilliant. And just in case you think that Joss Whedon did this scene, no. It was Zack Snyder that directed this scene. And how do we know this? When we see the little reshoot bits that Joss Whedon did with the actor who played Silas Stone, he had gray hair. And here he has black hair, which means his hair was dyed for this movie. And Whedon forgot to dye the hair for reshoots. So this was directed by Zack Snyder. It makes sense. Zack is a visual director. And you're seeing Cyborg transform slowly into a more solid Cyborg that you know from the comics, and a more human-looking Cyborg. He doesn't look as alien with the jagged edges and the apocalyptic look. Isn't that beautiful? I thought so. So that there's a rebirth of Cyborg. And this is it you're watching. On that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Do remember you can donate, share, subscribe to this channel. We try to go deeper than just the surface. You guys have a great one.